Would you like to write professional, page-turning, captivating chapters? In this video, I'm going to talk about how to balance your chapters between scenes and summary. So, scenes are the real-time, dialogue-filled, action-filled moments that you write into your book. Summary, on the other hand, is the exposition. So anything that you need to explain, the world building, time lapses in a movie, they would be kind of the montage sequence. So when you know how to appropriately balance these two different modes of writing, then your scenes and summaries, your chapters are going to resemble your favorite novels. This is everything your favorite novelists know. So first I want to get into how to write great scenes. So scenes are the most important unit of storytelling in order to get conflict across. We know who the characters are by their actions. We bond with the characters in scenes, and we really get a sense for the conflict, the problem, the ideas for the book, not by just hearing about them in exposition, but really by having them acted out in scenes. So I'm going to talk about 5 different things that are really important to incorporate and kind of check this in your scenes to make sure that you're weaving these different qualities. Now, don't get intimidated because a lot of us do this kind of intuitively, but here's a little checklist so you can really take a look and make sure you're slowing your scenes down and you're getting these in, because in my experience, the rough draft, often these scenes are a little too fast and we don't really get into them with the depth we need to be able to picture what is going on. So first and foremost, dialogue. Do you ever get those ideas of what you want your character to say, just, when you're walking in the park or in the shower or at a random point? So many of us, especially if we're auditory learners, we might begin to write the draft with just dialogue, people talking back and forth to one another. Those are sometimes the skeleton of a scene. Then on top of that, oh my goodness, we need things to happen. So actions and reactions in these events. So if you ever watch a sitcom or any acting whatsoever, you're going to see that the building block of good acting, good storytelling through screen, is the action and reaction of the people doing the scene. And so, Malcolm Gladwell talked about this in his book. In Friends, if you ever watch their dialogues, oh my gosh, everybody has a facial expression for everything that is said. People, their eyes go wide, they guffaw, they do all sorts of things because not only are they talking, but they're acting and reacting. This creates a push-pull that moves the conflict forward in a scene. On top of this, oh my goodness, we don't just want a bunch of talking heads. We don't want scenes of pure dialogue. We want people to do stuff. We want some smashing of wine bottles, spilling of stuff. We want people jumping into lakes. We want people throwing slime at one another. So if you want great eventful scenes, don't make your book a series of conversations. Make sure there are actions and reactions. A boat comes into the harbor with a bunch of pirates in it, and then everybody in the town runs. So we need those actions and reactions. We don't want to read novels where everybody is just talking to one another all the time and nothing else ever happens. Immediate thoughts. This is a really good tool for character development. You don't want to go stream of consciousness in someone's head by any means, but if you want to bond us with your character by their moral or immoral reactions to something that is said or done, then make sure that we get some of their immediate inside their heads. This also goes a little bit into point of view. So make sure that you're only doing this with the point of view character, unless you're omniscient point of view, and then you can do it all of the live long day. Next, establish the setting. We want to be able to picture this. You can even make sure that the setting is part of the conflict. Think mountains, think Titanic. You know, the setting in Titanic, spoiler, the boat sinks. And so but so much of what makes that a good story, a tragic story, is of course the setting. So, and that's actually the final thing that you want to make sure is always in your scene: conflict and tension. Make sure that we're not falling asleep during your scenes. Build up the conflict and tension. If you're a pacifist and you don't like conflict and tension in stories, just remember that it's through tension and conflict that we so often really understand the meaning of something. So there's that saying that we don't really appreciate something until it's taken away. That's what conflict does, is it forces us to recognize how much a protagonist wants something. It's through those hard times in life that we really understand what we value and develop ourselves as characters. So put it in your scenes and develop those characters. Next, so that's everything that you want to make sure you're weaving those 5 components into scenes. Now let's talk about 4 things you have to draw from when you're creating exposition. So often we have that saying, show us, don't tell us. The scenes are showing us. Exposition is telling us. And you want to know what? It's a spectrum. It's not a black and white rule. So often we just need to know what's going on. What year is it? You know, you don't want to describe the year by the political events that happened during that year. So we have to go to Google and look up, you know, where we are in time. Just tell us. Tell us the year. Tell us where we are. So summary is exposition, and this is your opportunity to summarize and tell us what's going on. So what are the kinds of things that you're going to want to tell us? Character background and history. This includes flashbacks. So sure, sometimes if we're going back in time to really get some insight into where a character is coming from in their childhood or any other time, we'll use a flashback. Flashbacks can become scenes, but usually they're handled with exposition, and we just hear about what happened before the present tense of the story. Character background, different details about them, their psychology. Go ahead, tell us. We don't need everything acted out for us. That would be far too dense. Time jumps, time lapses. So whenever we're going from if we're going from the present to the past in a flashback, if we're moving through years of a marriage, we do this through exposition, time jumps. We can't have 10 years of marriage all planted before us, teeth brushing and all. Okay, so world building. This is another thing that comes into exposition. No matter what we're reading, whether it's romance, whether it's fantasy, whether it's dystopia, we want to understand and be able to picture the world we're living in. And as I mentioned, setting can add to conflict. Tell us where we are, make that more interesting. Don't put us in a coffee shop or a bedroom all the time. Let us get out, move around, give us interesting settings that add to the story. And then final, internal reflections and broad insights. This is where you really bring in the meaning and the theme of the book. You can do that through exposition. When you read, keep an eye out for it and watch how your favorite authors do that same thing. So every single Friday, I put out new videos to help you move forward with your book. Take some time this weekend and do a little writing. And if you want some help, this has been really popular. The plot table has been really helpful to the people who have downloaded it. I noticed a lot of people have loved it, and so I want to keep the love going. So this plot table shows you the main turning points of your book right on one sheet of paper. When you can see your whole book on one piece of paper, It makes everything easier. You move forward faster and you have more confidence in your work. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, sign up to get the plot table sent to your email. So much love, and I will see you next Friday.